And as I was saying, part one, they're just forcing me to get this reaction. For example, I was able, because part one, because my brain is just so messed with. Confusion is getting worse and worse. But I was able to show this. This is the, and this is the kid that they forced me to have this perception in these ways. They've messed with me. As always, now they're going back to these different manipulations. My brain is just being manipulating these pedophilia ways. That's so disgusting. And they try to make you accepting of these ways. Where now we're mapping your brain your way when you were a kid. And this is why they want to create these stories about exaggerating what I did as a child, so they can be like, no, do you see there's a link because this and that? No, I'm not going to give you the luxury. I'm going to embarrass you. You know that. You know what I'm going to do. You're going to hear the clear patterns of what you guys do to the brain. And this degrading tactics of rewiring the brain for the purpose of pushing the person into insanities. This shit tortured children too, on top of that. Let me repeat that. This shit, this low life, this perps, this trash, this bottom feeders calling you a nothing. I involved in a program that tortured babies, infants, sexually torturing them. When I see them with that. It's locked in so bad that I asked God to give me strength. I was hearing this trash talking to me, tell me how they're using this V2K interacting device, voice to skull, piping voices into your brain. So they have the luxury to talk to you remotely. And you hear this weak human shit that at any point can break down just by doing that. But when she talks to me, you hear them, you hear this shit trying to sound so fierce, but even failing at that. Tell me, no, you're gonna be crying when you're gonna get raped, and this is like, God give me strength, because I will cry when I get raped. I will scream when I'm in pain. But one thing for sure, I will never give these bottom feeders working for entities filled with pedophiles give the satisfaction or the luxury to think that I ever subscribe to these things. These people are pedophiles and torture children. They manipulate the brain in these disgusting ways and rewire reality. Never. Torture is not going to give you validation, piece of shit. And you can, let me predict that you're going to give your fucking shit back. You're going to be reimbursed. I don't care how childish this shit talks. They've been grooming this low life to normalize what they're involved in. They even try to be sensible when they do this pedophilia type of torture. They think that with me, I think they're under this. I'm a person who see the goodness out of people, and I think maybe that's where they think. Where if I talk like that, no, it's on you. No, we mapped it, and they start talking. This is even worse because I know you're a worse person. I respect this trash that accept the trashiness that they are. Those people, they say that they're going to rape me, torture me. I would respect these people better because they know they're trash. They know they're going to get theirs. You think they do these horrible things to people physically, however they do it, thinking, oh, I'm a good person. No, they know they're going to get theirs. But the worst is those people who think they're sensible people. When they're working day in and day out to rewire the brain in these ways and then try to make you acceptive of this manipulation while involved in a program where they know they're torturing children and think that the torture that I'm going to experience is going to erase that reality. Never, you piece of shit. And when we see each other, if we see each other, and I'm not threatening them, I'm just saying I will let you know that you are a piece of shit. And I remember some people, the most disgusting, there's this woman, this white woman. I was looking at a commercial, and they forced me to get the same stimulation they can force me to have, just like this baby. And I was like, you nasty shit. I was disturbed. And she just wanted me to look at her because when I look at her, as a regular white woman that is just a decent person, you see, she's a normal person. So we're not manipulating your brain in these ways. Yes, fucking trash. They play the psyops to make you acceptive of these manipulations. What the fuck do you think? What? She had no shame. She just like, look at me, please look. If you look at me, I look like a normal person, so we won't do that to you. What, you piece of fucking trash? You just like these clowns over here making noise campaign to try to make me accepting of this. There was a cop involved in that saying, I'm gonna be bullied. So the officer, I know I'm gonna be bullied or tortured. I'll cry, I'll scream, but I will never give you your fucking satisfaction. I'll never identify with this. This song that I heard called Black Men Need Therapy was about how black men need therapy because they go through all these traumatic things in their life as children. Mothers getting raped, child molestations, and then when they say child molestation, let me repeat that. Mothers getting raped, child molesting. That's when they want to block in. That's why you hear this trash making noise campaign. Because they wish that's what I did when I was a child. When the truth is, when I was a kid, an older kid, a teenage kid, something more, but I'm not worried about that. And you hear this trash trying to box in, but no, it's a piece of shit. We know who to molest children, torture children. You wish you can make all the noise campaign. Every time they're like making noise campaign, like thinking that's gonna be, oh no, go. No, trash. That's why you don't want to see me. It's not because you're scared of me. Look how fragile I am. It's because I don't identify with this manipulation. And you tell me who's waiting for me is going to torture me as if it's going to change reality. Trash, because you want to block out the reality of what you do to children. This is what they do to children. This is why I keep bringing it up. Imagine somebody who's trying to block this because the reality of what's
I'm currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children.
This is what they try to counter.
I'm currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream the way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat.
Okay.
And I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as...
Let me pause there. You're going to hear a 4-year-old girl with Down syndrome and her older sister with also a Down syndrome issue.
5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, ow. I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions.
Yes, you correctly heard a child, two children, or multiple children being tortured. Both of them being tortured sexually with this weapon system that can harm you using energetic weapon, energetic technology that can harm the genitals of children. This shit making this noise campaign, trying to box in whatever ways they want me to think, are involved in that. That's why when I asked God if I saw this person and he wanted me to accept this fucking... I remember when they called me maggot. I rather, if I'm a maggot, a piece of shit involved in something that does that, what is it? That's why when they call me a nothing, I was like, what are you, trash?
For each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain.
And a 3-year-old. Do you understand? Let me just tell you what they try to exaggerate. And what age. I just want to put that in their face. At that age. This is the age I was when I did this inappropriate thing they wish they created into the level of like molesting, whatever. To try to exaggerate to that level. So when I even hear a song about people going through that issue, or have gone through that, they try to make me identify with this. The reality is what I did is inappropriate, yes, but it's not traumatic. And matter of fact, it was such an impulsive act that I even forgot about it. And they tried to make it seem like, no, this person's traumatized, she needs therapy. No, she doesn't even know me. I follow her on Instagram just to humiliate the shit that came up with this story about how, no, she's so traumatized, trashy, opportunist, slow life. Because they're involved in a program that traumatizes and damages children. You're trying to make that happen to others. Try to create your stories onto me. You piece of shit. And then to hear this child, they're grooming this low life. They're not even children at this point. I call them just trash. Grooming them. Tell me how they're going to say that I raped these children, and this is how they're going to frame me, and that's how the person is going to rape me and torture me, is waiting for me. It's like trash. Go throw your fucking low life in this. Go throw your trash in it. In this, I was listening to this podcast, and they keep bringing up there's a bunch of issues happening right now. There's a bunch of pedophiles out here kidnapping kids, doing things to kids, going to that chat where the chat rooms and try to pick up kids and meeting up. Some crazy shit. While this shit over there, these kids out here being groomed to frame people. A kid, I don't know, in some New Orleans place, they got kidnapped, raped, and thrown in the bike. Here in New York City, in Queens, kid 2 kidnapped, 13 years old, raped on camera. This fucking bottom feeders here, thinking they're brave, like they're trash, low life. I'm sorry, I know they're children, but at this point, the future of this shit is gonna be so horrible because they can even do that to. They're being groomed to be trash. I don't even think they're gonna make it to my age. But they'll tell me how I'm gonna cry. It's like, God gave me strength for the whole torture. Listen, I gotta even run to it. But I will never give them this fantasy they want to. The way they manipulate my brain is what they've done to others. They alter the brain in these disgusting, degrading ways. It's like a cognitive warfare where we're just test subject. This is what this is really about. I know the reality of things. The reason why I make videos is because they want to go into this fantasy of a facade and fantasy they created to try to disorient the target individual, to make him or her believe this is anything but this massive government that have been using human subjects as test subjects. But they try to create this fantasy and manipulate people in these ways and then try to gaslight them into thinking, no, we're this group of these people, we're protecting you, avenging trash. No, you're not. You're rewiring the brain, you're manipulating the brain, you're changing a human being to think in different ways, to react in different ways, to have different emotions, and then you try to gaslight them to accept these manipulations. Piece of shit. Then push them to suicide. Men, women have died like that, killing themselves. These are the faces of different tormented women. This low life, I tried to play this femme fatale feminist, this piece of shit. Cowards of first class cowards. This low life shit. I rather get shitted on than do the things they do to kids, to women. Then have this cowardness of a lifestyle. Just try to feel fierce about it. I have no respect for this shit. Whatever is waiting for me, God give me strength for it, but I'd rather run to it and live this low lifeness. I will not give them this. They are trash. They know if I see them in person and they play the game, it's so gonna be. I gotta ask God to give me strength. Because they have this rage that they've created. Because I put these things they do to people in their face. The rage is because they've been exposed for the real bullshit that they are. The rage that they have is I can put that in their face like this.
Miss Catherine Nestor.
Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here. It's very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this.
That's the rage they have. Because this trash want to present the society, but it's so full of shit. Can you imagine being that much of a clown? This is the psyop that they create to make you believe this fantasy of what they wish this was about.
Split personality spies, and
oh, by the way, every time I say, when I bring this video, you know how disorienting they are and how childlike they are. It's like, we're spies, not trash, your bottom feed of the country. The government is contracting. Governmental entities filled with pedophiles. You know, the actual spies, these pedos, yeah, they contract low life like you to partake in this. You know what this is talking about, the spies? You know how this MK Ultra all started? They're trying to find in the 50s or so a way to create spies where they can make them do things and then they will forget about it. In the 50s. So that's why he's bringing up. And these losers of trash that try to disorient me, it's like, oh, we're spies, huh? You know, piece of shit. Your bottom feeders working for these governmental entities, which of course inclusive of these entities that do have spies, filled with pedophiles over there too, are being utilized, trashing like you, trash like them, to implement this program that's meant to develop this technology that can alter the mind in these disgusting ways. And you're supposed to confuse the target individual to make them believe that this is anything but this massive government, you fucking lowlifes.
Couriers, people that will carry the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis, that people will believe something other than a massive government could do.
That's what they do. Try to make you believe that this is anything but this massive government. By the way, massive government, which massive government we're talking about? A massive government that have this kind of issue. And why am I saying that specifically? This kind of issue I'm talking about. Yes, this issue.
Potentially making this. The Defense Department releasing brand new details into an investigation involving child pornography and dozens of its workers and contractors, some with top-level security clearance. Not only are these very serious accusations, but investigators say some of the people involved were handling the nation's most sensitive secrets, potentially making this a matter of national security. Chief Fox Report correspondent Jonathan Hunt with the news. Appalling story, Jonathan. Do we know more about these people and their security clearances?
Well, we don't know their exact job titles, John, but what we do know is that they did appear to be working, some of them at high levels, across a range of government agencies. Take a look at this, for instance, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the very secretive Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Others also worked on actual military...
Understand? This issue prompted this law.
He has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flicker, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the Personal Electronic Device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security suites. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible.
You just heard it well. Yes, these entities that contract this low life have so much issue with child porn, and there's even more than just child porn happening there in regard of children. There's a BuzzFeed that just came, a BuzzFeed article that was pointing out there's a bunch of CIA agents that were caught with child porn and doing things to children. But child porn, so much of it that was downloaded using the DoD network that they were ranked top tier for child porn downloading using the network. Like out of all the network in the United States, the DoD network was ranked top tier for trafficking the most child porn in the United States. The DoD network. This shit is so nasty. And in my brain, because guess what entity has been working on technology that can alter the mind since the 60s?
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day.
Yes. These same entities that have this issue with child porn are the entities that have been working on how to alter the mind using electromagnetic frequencies. Yes. Now, I know that the way my brain's going to go is going to go the way they want it because I'm dealing with the government. This psyops are trying to make me think that anything but this massive government is doing that to me is just a clown ass. They use these retards that really, they stay in character. The method acting is serious because they truly believe in this retardation. They use people on the spectrum. They turn into mentally ill and the humiliation and the rage they have is because I put that in their faces. So they make me listen to some stories and this and that and try to implant personality in my brain. Which guess what? They can do that. How do I know? Because I know this is who I am. But on top of that, this is the validation of what they do.
My guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist, and it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
Cognitive warfare.
Exactly, it's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds,
personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, okay, so.
You understand? They implant personalities. And they use this trash. Like I said, for me, I wish nothing but this life for these bottom feeders. I truly do. They are so delusional and trashy. They even saw their kids. They tell me they think they're being brave by doing that. They're framing me. with their kids. I'm like, what? I'm dying man. You have sold your fucking kids to this shit. What do you think the future is to children in that frames? You think they're gonna live a happy long life? Delusional shit. And they torture women and children. While kids are getting raped and kidnapped, you have your lowlifes here, deluded, working for governmental entities that clearly torture women, that clearly torture children, even sexually, that rewires the brain in the most disgusting way possible. These entities are filled with pedophiles. There's a whole bill that was prompted because there's an issue of downloading child porn. And you have your retards. Life ruined for somebody who's already dead. I pray they continue to live this nastiness. You hear the bikers? In 2 seconds I can shut them down. Little old me. You know what I can do? Listen, you see how quiet it's gonna be soon? This is what I can do.
5 head-on. Spanberger said in a statement, according to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography.
You see how quiet it got around me? The reality that they're in is so disgusting. It's so foul. But I'm so thankful that I got to see it before I lost it. I'm so thankful. Because then, reality of this.
Innocent citizens being controlled by government-sanctioned experiments. Is Shelley Welsh telling the truth? Or are her claims absurd? Just another conspiracy theory that's impossible to prove. Maybe. But not if you listen to Nick Begich.
I think there's some good evidence that Cheryl Welsh and many of the other people I've spoken with have been victimized by this electromagnetic mind control experience. The weapons of this century are bombs and bullets and ordnance, but electromagnetic energy targeting the human being, which is the greatest revolution in military affairs since gunpowder.
Begich is an expert in government mind control. He is convinced the Pentagon has mastered a technology once thought to be science fiction. The ability to broadcast information directly into the human brain.
Our government began spending a lot of time looking at how to modify behaviors of human beings. Going back to the Korean War, in fact, in a publication, Low Intensity Conflict and Modern Technology, they have a chapter on electromagnetic weapon systems and being able to not just to debilitate someone, but actually even to stimulate certain activities within the brain.
But how?
HARP is the high-frequency active aurora applications. The other was the effect on human beings. If you can modulate a signal that the brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response, the brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just be about triggering emotions. You can change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts and being able to manipulate those, that requires a different kind of sophistication.
So you heard how easily it is to manipulate somebody to have some reactions, emotions, stimulation, sensation. See, when I saw this little girl, the sexual stimulation was forced onto me because they can alter my brain in these ways. They can stimulate your brain to have sexual stimulations. And then they gaslight you by using these perps, this lowlife, that, the clowns, working for these pedophiles, try to break you down. Oh, I'm sorry, not working for those pedophiles, working for these entities with a lot of pedophile issues. To try to gaslight you, sometimes even using sensible voices. No, we're so you. Using technology that can pipe in voices in your brain and then rewire your thought process. Listen to this.
Into an individual's head. And once you can do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And
offensive information warfare, and this is what's happening.
And then, I don't know if I'm going to get into this, but there's something called hyper game theory. How do you, they want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define the probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you...
And so they do these things to us, men, women, and children from all races, all culture, and learn how to break somebody down. This is a weapon system that they're utilizing test subject onto. This is why these kids, when they grab the private parts, is because this technology can target the body in so many ways, and the mind, using this energetic weapon system.
The Radio Frequency Dosimetry Handbook, 1986, University of Utah, produced for the Air Force. It gives you the resonant frequencies for each vital organ so that you can send in a radio signal that will couple with the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, and cause them to malfunction so that you can degrade the performance of your adversary. The new weapon systems being developed today will attack the mind, the body, and our physiology on an energetic level. Not with bullets and bombs. It's a perfect Republican weapon. No offense to Republicans here, but you don't want to destroy the property. You have to rebuild it afterwards. This is a weapon systems of the 21st century. It's the very beginning of it in a lot of ways, but the research goes back over 50 years.
Just like DARPA has been working on this technology since the 60s. And so this technology can do all these tactics of altering your mind and creating emotions and this stimulation and even thought process that they desire you to experience for the purpose of breaking you down, because it is a weapon system that do target your body and your mind. When it comes to your mind, they're going to have you have experiences that degrade you.
Designed to interact with the human nervous system in order to remotely pick up on someone's neural network or EEG, and not only receive that and monitor it, but manipulate it and place it back into the victim to control their emotions or control their actions or bodily functions for that matter. The other more recent term we have for that is EEG heterodyning or EEG cloning. The difference between EEG heterodyning and EEG cloning would be, let's say, me remotely receiving your EEG and then duplicating it and putting that in another person to give them your same thoughts or feelings or physical reactions. EEG heterodyning would be receiving your EEG, manipulating it to put it back inside your head to give us a desired physical reaction or emotional reaction.
You understand? The desire, emotion, the desire thought, the desire reaction. And then they gaslight you. Clowns that come in all shape or form, from this weirdo to this childlike trash here that come and think that they're like in the movie. Try to gaslight. They look at their phone as if because they're looking at their phone, your brain is now being altered. It's supposed to be like, oh, I just saw that on my phone, so you're not being manipulated. And guess what? What tactics that degrade you? Oh yes, everything is systematic here.
It's dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of it. Like, this disgusting thing. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting thing that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no...
The word that he's not saying Oh, she's not saying sorry. Jackie, may she rest in peace. It's pedophilia. And this is not unique to her, just like it's not unique to me.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds, and vice versa.
You heard it. Almost all target individuals are forced to see child pornography in their minds. It's the things they do.
It's what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat.
This is not me making them say anything. Those are target individuals saying they do the pedophilia type of torture. And the libido, oh my gosh.
They use these monarch-style torture programs, like it's based on sex and trauma. So they're gonna traumatize you, then use your libido to get back at you,
and they can manipulate your arousals, make you have sexual arousal, like pressing a button.
This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal.
And the thought process. For example, that little girl that you see, she's like maybe a 6-7-year-old. You know, the way they can make you have perception toward kids is so nasty. Initially, they start creating this bottle in my brain where they have this thought process. Because what they've done too, is like even younger babies, like little toddlers, like little 3-year-old, 3-4-year-old, or like even younger, little, you know how small they are. The way they made me look at these kids' butts. Because you know they're small, they're like little fat little kids. They start creating this baby's butt in this disgusting pedophilia ways. Because they play with these perceptions. That's so disgusting. It's like they create perception that you will have toward women, but toward these babies. And try to get you to accept this thing. You have these clowns that interact with you via V2K. This is what V2K is. And you have clowns that are so fucking cowardly, but they feel so empowered. You know how much fun they have? This weak lowlife that could not even look at you. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, they try to be all mysticful, like they're not even on some antidepressant when they could just kill themselves in 2 seconds.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just...
So the manipulations are thought manipulation, perception manipulations, and it's disgusting. So, and it's funny, this perps talking to you via V2K, they try to be agitating. I hear this perp saying, like, using this V2K technology, like, oh, you are clown. It's like, oh yeah, you're so calm and collected. And you see who's talking to you is like some fragile low life. They feel empowered because target individuals, we're powerless. Because at the end of the day, as much as the cowardly and low life these bottom fears are, it's not their program. This is not them running this thing. You heard who's running these entities, who's running this program. Since the 60s, since the Korean War, DARPA, the DOD, they're the entities running this. They're just contracting this losery of human beings. And so, as trash as they are, as low life as they are, you're going to go through whatever they want you to go through, because at the end of the day, these governmental entities are running this program. Yes, the same governmental entities with so much issue with pedophilia. So the empowerment for them is like the fiercest. Now let me finish this up. They implant personality. They can make you think of things in different ways and make you think of it like somebody else's life can be your life. They can implant other people's life into you. It's like part of this mental battle that this man talks about here.
Able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
You understand? So the imagination, the mental torture consists of like what they implanted. So this song about black men in therapy and then talks about all the different things that's happening in this household. And the mentioning that mothers getting raped and child molesting, they immediately try to be, oh no, no, trash, you wish that was true. But you are involved in a program that does molest children. Working for governmental entities with a bunch of fucking pedophiles. And what you try to exaggerate, what you try to create as a story is to exaggerate what I did as a child. And you know, to counter what I just said, you say, oh, plan your assholes. Like, okay, God, give me strength. Because guess how they're going to frame me? Yes, what do you think pedos do when it comes to framing? They're going to have a child, say that I raped them. Everything is pedophilia-centric. So God, give me strength for the raping that I'm going to go through. Everything. But thank you, God, that I exposed this low life for what they are. They wanted to relive this fantasy. Death comes to all of us. I could have lived life working for pedos and tried to force people to think in this pedophilia ways, exaggerating things that a child did just to make them deluded in this reality while manipulating their brain. It's like, now we're mapped it. Now we're mapping. When they clearly have these tactics of forcing people to have this reaction toward children and stimulate people in these pedophilia ways and have this thought process, which this one called the pedophilia type of torture.